Hey everybody, welcome back. HSC Podcast 47. Big Box Steve on the mic. We got the Big Smooth and Fresh West back again. Internet working, Wes? Or are you using your phone or what's going on?
No, they finally fixed it. It took them forever, but
All
that's
right.
good.
All right. Yeah, that's solid. So before we jump in this week, for everybody listening, thanks for listening. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor. Thanks for listening. I appreciate everybody listening. If you have questions, comments, please go ahead and leave them in the comments for sure. We'd like to comment on those, but if there's anything you want to hear about, let us know. Getting ready to come into the playoffs last week of the season and a big week here. So before we jump into that, though, of course, a very sad, week in the NFL, Monday Night Football with Hamlin. First time I've ever seen that in my life, as far as watching football, professional football. I know that happens around sports, but this seems to be a big impact. Not only is it Monday night, it's on a huge, forum, but resuscitating someone and having to do the go to the lengths that they did was just it was heart wrenching. And so, thankfully, he's recovering. Hopefully, he continues recovery, but at that moment in time, as players, like we all played football, like how did that make you guys feel?
Well, after, because when we're watching it on TV, you don't really know what's going on and no one knows what's going on. But I would the shock of if it was one of your teammates having to have CPR done for 8 minutes, that would be very shocking. But luckily he made it out of it um, so far. But yeah, that's the biggest thing is just watching him be dead for 8 minutes.
Right. The CPR and the ambulance and like all that on the field kind of for me brings a whole new level to being carted off, right? Like
Right.
it sucks to have an ACL, an MCL, or broken bone or something like that. But most of the time, 99% of the time, 99.9% of the time, that's not fatal.
Right.
But when you're talking resuscitation, now you're talking about like guys basically dead.
Right. Well, luckily, I mean, he's an NFL player and he's young and he's in the best shape of his life. I mean, that's probably what saved him the most, along with the them getting out there super fast enough to administer the CPR.
Right. Yeah. What were you feeling, Wes? Did you see you were watching it, Wes?
Yeah. Um, yeah, I was with a few people and yeah, it was pretty hard to watch. I didn't have any sound where I was at, and it just took a few minutes for me to figure out what was going on. And then we started texting back and forth. But I didn't know that he was basically out for 8 minutes like that. That's one thing
Right.
I didn't know. So I mean, I can't imagine being the players just waiting there for that long and seeing that go down. Um, I mean, there's probably some of these guys are pretty traumatized, and that's probably why they canceled the game for now.
Because you don't really know, like instantly at least, what's happening, right?
Yeah.
Like as the trainers are out there, a lot of the players, I guess, until you start to see them like administering CPR, then then it's like a whole different feeling. Because there's definitely times where trainers come out, especially with like a neck injury,
Right.
or they say, "Hey, I can't move my limbs or I can't feel my legs," like things like that. You see they get surrounded by trainers. But when you start to go into like the CPR mode, that's a whole different motion, right? That's a whole different thing than they're used to seeing.
Mhm.
Well, and that's what happened too, is they did bring out the board to put him on. So that's without knowing what was going on. I was like, oh man, he got a bad hit. He's, you know, paralyzed or something like that. He didn't realize until later that no, he was not. alive at the moment. Interesting is I was talking to my mom, who was a retired cardiology nurse. So I had her watch it, and she was like going, "Oh, he might have got a vein or something." And then she walked me through everything that was going to be happening and going on. And so it's kind of interesting to hear from her on that. But she was like, "Oh, I think he'll make it." But
Right. Yeah, and so the other issue that comes up with this is like you hear this like nobody really knows what the root cause was, right? Because it's hard at this point, and maybe we'll never know, which is the other issue,
right.
And so what's interesting to me and what I want to get your guys' thoughts on is I've seen a lot about the contact portion of this, right? The hit, oh, he was hit, maybe weird. And I wonder if that is the case or maybe it's not the case versus maybe it's like a pre-existing condition or maybe it's just he had an elevated heartbeat or at the time uh some kind of carditis or a fibrillus or something like that, right? So have you guys looked into or have you seen this through all of this? Because I've seen a lot of people talking about this, where all of these soccer players over the last couple years that are having the cardiac arrests and things like that.
Well, I saw the little thing you sent, and I wonder if it has to do with performance enhancing drugs for like
Right.
at least with soccer, like with uppers,
Hmm.
so they can keep. I know in like the 80s, that was big in baseball, was taking speed and uppers because better hand-eye coordination. And for soccer, yeah, if you're like running for 60 minutes straight, that might be something you do, and then that will mess with your
Because
heart.
that's what I was wondering is like you think about that where there's been an inordinate amount of soccer players in the last 2 years. And over the last, really 30 years, there's been a lot comparatively if you go back previous to that. And I was talking about this with Holly about performance enhancing drugs, how that's more of a new thing, right? Like there's more, whether it be protein powders, or things like this that they're using to enhance their performance. Like what effect is that having on their bodies and their heart rates and, these type of things?
Well, the big one, and I know it's not sports, it's sports entertainment, but how many wrestlers from the 80s and 90s have died of like heart attacks,
Right.
and that obviously was from steroids and painkillers and all that stuff they were taking.
Because the difference between like what they call a steroid and a performance enhancing drug, when you think about it, it's just like this imaginary line that they've created, right? If you're on like the barely one side of the line versus barely the opposite of the line, this is legal, this is not, but they're so close to doing having the exact same effect, right?
Right.
So Wes, what do you think when you hear that as far as like performance enhancing drugs or the recent spike in cardiac arrest in sports in general? We haven't seen a lot in the NFL, but over other sports, especially soccer, you've seen it a ton.
Mhm.
Well, with football too, we don't know that the testing is a lot more diligent than it is maybe in other
Right,
countries
right,
with
right.
soccer.
Yeah. You know, I'm not quite, it makes sense what you're saying. I really haven't heard that take yet. Um, I think they're going to look at everything at this point. I think part of the problem also is, you know, I had a couple people say it was like a getting hit with the baseball in a sense. They're comparing it to that. So they were trying to say it's the hit. But I mean, I only watched it twice, the hit, because I just couldn't watch it. It
Right.
just was like I watched it twice and I didn't couldn't back it up. I just saw it twice and I thought it was kind of an awkward hit with the helmet to his chest, but
I
who
mean,
knows?
he definitely got a helmet to the chest. Like you can't argue that. But how many helmets to the chest do you see
all the time.
in a game?
Well, and then it wasn't like, the targeting or anything like that. It was just kind of like they hit like this. It wasn't like a car crash hit.
Yeah.
So just here's an interesting statistic, and this is a low end statistic. I've seen some crazy numbers from and of course Politico, Reuters, and all fact checkers are like, oh, that's not true. But on a low end scale, last year there were 10 cardiac arrests on professional soccer players. So it's just the professional soccer players on field, and 5 of them died. In 2021, there were 21 cardiac arrests on the soccer field for professional only, and 11 of them died.
Right. But where were these professional soccer leagues?
It's worldwide. It's worldwide for sure. So yeah, you could talk about maybe healthcare differences, those type of things can come into play there. But the fact is that, first of all, there's 2 issues I have with this. One, like, how often do you hear about that? Like, we're not
Well,
hearing about it.
the United States doesn't care about soccer, so that's why we don't hear about
Yeah,
it.
so we're not hearing about soccer. But doesn't that seem like a really high number, especially for 2021?
Well, the problem is yeah, you got to know where all the people, because think about like in Mexico and places like that, how many people in the stands get killed at soccer games. It's a whole different thing in other countries. So like soccer, it's like it's live or die. So a lot of people do lots of stuff, and I don't know what the regulations are in those leagues.
Right. So that's my question. Is my thought process is, do you think it has something to do? Because immediately I went to PEDs, right? Are they taking some type of PEDs that are affecting their organs, specifically their heart, to enhance their performance? And not to say that Hamlin was doing that, because there could be a lot of different things, but how many players in the NFL are taking some type of performance enhancers,
Right.
legal ones? I mean, if you had to guess, like what percentage? Think about that. Probably 100% are taking some type of performance
Right.
enhancer in one way or another, right?
Right, for workouts and stuff like that.
Creatines, protein powders.
Right.
So that, I guess, when I see this increase in this over the last 10, 20 years, that, I guess, that's a fear I have, is maybe we're going to keep seeing this increase due to people trying to play at the higher level, and what they're doing there. And that's a sad thing.
Well, I mean, yeah. I just kind of feel like it could have just been a freak hit.
Right.
I mean, what was it a few years ago when DJ Hayden was in college? Yeah, he got hit and it cut part of his artery and he
Yeah.
missed the whole season in college.
And you don't know, like, some of them have undiagnosed pre-existing
Right.
conditions too, which, ultimately, is going to cause issues.
Reggie
Um,
Lewis.
right. So, uh, yeah, very sad. Let's talk about like how the NFL is moving forward. And so, Wes, did you have a chance to read what Derek just sent over as far as that Goodell document?
I didn't read it, no. Just
So they're thinking about canceling the game. So the game, it sounds like they're not going to play this game.
Yeah, they said it's canceled.
Right.
yeah.
So how does this affect the season? Like, are there ramifications from that? What's the positives of doing that? What's the negatives of doing that? And how does that affect the season in general? Like, now, do you have an asterisk season? Like, these kind of things. And I know it sucks to talk about this kind of thing when you have a guy whose life's on the line, but we're almost Skip Bayless at this point, who everybody hates now.
Well, of course, because he did it like 5 minutes after it happened.
But he also had like 3 or 4 tweets before, which bothers me because everybody's focused on that tweet, which
I think just everyone just hates Skip Bayless, which is good.
I think that's the thing, but I don't think he really had any ill intentions. But how does this affect the season, good and bad? And what should they do? How do they move forward here? What do you guys think?
Well, it just the only thing, I mean, because they're going to play on neutral sites most likely for the AFC Championship game.
Right. That's what it looks like.
But I mean, why should that be an asterisk? Then it means it's actually even more fair. Right?
Unless you're the loser. And then you're like, we should have had home field advantage.
Yeah. I mean, that stuff, I mean, it used to happen back in the 70s when the rules were different. I mean, the team with the best record didn't always have home field advantage in the AFC Championship game.
Well, wasn't it the Raiders? It wasn't the Immaculate Reception, or what was it?
It was the 72 Dolphins were undefeated, and they had to go to Pittsburgh and play in the AFC Championship game, and they're undefeated. So, I mean, stuff like that happen. And so playing on neutral sites would be interesting. I think that's probably the best way to do it anyways in this situation.
Did Buffalo beat Kansas City?
They did. Yeah. And Cincinnati did.
Yeah. So it kind of favors Kansas City here.
This is completely fair. Kansas City, this is the best thing that could have happened to Kansas City. Because they really didn't have much a chance at winning, Yeah. I mean, I guess Cincinnati wins and they have a better record and they just went out. So yeah, I mean Cincinnati's still, because I think Cincinnati was going to win that game. Obviously, I picked them. And so that moves Buffalo down to 12-4. So actually, maybe it's negative for Cincinnati because they could have had home field advantage.
Right. Well, why don't they need the Kansas City has 3 losses, right?
Yeah. So if Cincinnati beat Buffalo on Monday night, they'll both have 4 losses. And Kansas City would have the home field advantage. But now they may have to play at a neutral site.
Yeah. Because so Kansas City kind of did get screwed because they're going to beat the Raiders.
Right. So yeah. So
now the only thing is if Buffalo beat Cincinnati, they would have home field.
Right. So it could have went in Buffalo's favor. So yeah, I guess I'm wrong there. Since Kansas City actually got screwed.
Because in a way, though, the Bengals, with not playing that game, helped them because they clinched the division for them.
Right.
Because if they lost to Buffalo and then they lose to the Ravens this week, then the Ravens would have won the division.
Then they could have not have been division winner.
And they would have been a 6 seed.
Right. So is it the right decision to just not play the game? And first, before moving forward, is the right decision. How do you guys feel about them stopping the game when they did and just not playing it?
I was fine with it. It's funny, it wasn't NFL. It was the teams that did it.
Oh, yeah. Legitimately, you saw the coaches talk, and they were like, we're done.
Yeah. Because the NFL was saying, they're going to be done, ready to go in 5 minutes.
Right. But, I mean, that's standard injury protocol. They didn't know at the time.
Right. But so there you go is, if you're the Bills or Bengals, you can't complain about what happens next.
Right. Because your coaches made the decision.
Yeah.
So Wes, if that was your choice, you're the NFL, would you stop the game too?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty traumatizing for everybody, fans, everybody watching. It's kind of hard to play a game after something like that. You have to resuscitate, a player.
Right.
Everyone's crying on the field. You can't expect them to play like that, But the thoughts, it's kind of weird. It goes in your head, you listen to people say stuff like, well, they got to finish the game. It's like, well, that's a tough one. I mean, you can't expect them to do that.
Well,
There's
does it? So here's my question though. What's the difference between Monday and Sunday though? So yeah, they stopped Monday night game, but they're playing again on Sunday.
well,
Is
that's
the only difference is that he's gotten better now. That trauma of him still seeing that and understanding that could happen to you still sits in your mind, right?
oh yeah, it's what they're. I mean, what they kind of had to do was just they had to sit on it for a couple days and talk to everybody, talk to the players and the coaches and the families, and come to a decision. They had enough time to everybody get on the same page. Should we play or not? Because I think there was even a thought of even postponing a week. You know, all options were on the table. I heard a lot of different suggestions on what they wanted to
Yeah.
do.
Why couldn't they just? Because there is a week between the championships and the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Well, that was
Why
a discussion. That was a
why
possibility.
can't you just push it back a week?
Okay.
I don't. Well, the logistics of it all is people probably have already made plans and done all this other stuff and trying to get the time off to like fly
Right.
places and
So you're talking about tickets and fan travel and location, all that kind of stuff.
right. And that was the whole thing too about this game postponing and doing it again. It's like Wes said when I was talking to him, they would have to play in an empty stadium.
Yeah.
Um,
Which they did for all of 2020.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then you could count it as an asterisk because you could say, "Oh, well, we didn't play. We played this game with no fans, and that's why we lost."
I think you're gonna be honest with you. I think there people are gonna you're gonna see that asterisk, thing regardless. Um, just because, and it's gonna come from the losers, right? Whoever
Yeah.
loses out the situation is gonna be like, well, that's because this happened, you know. And so, yeah, and so as you think about it, I agree. Like, I guess there's no reason to play the game. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. You might as well just move forward with the season as far as what's scheduled, and then try to do your best to work out seating because seating's just seating.
Well, that's where I'm like, if they did play and then Joe Burrow or Josh Allen got hurt,
Right, right. But they could have
and
got hurt before too. But
I
yeah,
know,
I
but
get what you're
it's
saying.
like okay, they get hurt and then they're gonna miss 2 weeks, and so they miss the
Right.
playoff game.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
There's
all in all, yeah, what a terrible, terrible situation, though. Um, I think for me, what really got lost in the whole thing was Hamlin himself, because the media and I hate this is why I hate social media is because they start to like change the narrative to what they want it to support, whether it be like it because you had the vaccine or you didn't have the vaccine or all these stupid things, and that's what drives me crazy is that like you got this like kid fighting for his life, and we're talking about all these different things, and people are using it and it's just sickening.
Luckily on my social media, I didn't see any of that. So that was great. It was just mostly about hoping he gets better. And did you see what his first thing that came out of his mouth when he could speak?
Yeah, he's wondering who won the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how like a true athlete and a true like love for the game. Like all he cares about is who won. So yeah, and that's the sad part is, and I guess logistics are a thing, and all those are a thing, but really like the guy's life is on the line, and that's all that really matters in the end. So that's just a crazy, crazy situation. So moving on to HSC standings, week 17. Derek has a big week, gains a lot of ground. So it makes week 18 like super important here. Like it's now a 1 game. I think it's a 1 game difference. Any big surprise? So first of all, Wes, I want to know why you picked New Orleans over Philadelphia. That's that's first what I want to know.
Honestly, because there's no way I'm going to beat you if I don't start taking some
so,
chances.
so he's
I
taking
mean,
chances.
I saw that and I was like, I don't care. I'm gonna lose anyways. I will do it. Pull the trigger on it.
So you really didn't think New Orleans was going to
Well,
win. You were just going for
of course,
the swing
yeah,
game.
because Andy Dalton's my favorite player. Yeah, I'm a bit, the Red Rocket. I'm all about the Red
The
Rocket.
Red Rocket. Love it.
So it's just one of those things. I did a parlay on it and I won. So
Well, so you believed in enough to bet on it.
I
So
took because it was 5.5, and
right.
I was like, I don't think they're going to beat them by 5.5. They're probably still going to win.
Really? Like, man, that's crazy. So I do want to talk about the Vegas and San Francisco game since you guys are obviously, you guys are big Raiders fans. How'd you feel about your quarterback filling in, and how'd you feel about that game? I mean, I thought he did well. I watched a good portion of it, and I thought he played pretty good.
I think it was a big case of 49ers were like, oh, this is going to be a cakewalk, and they didn't really take it seriously.
Yeah.
But then in the end, what always happens with Josh McDaniels, they get a big lead and they lose. So it doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
I mean, he made some good throws, though. He moved out of the pocket well, which I thought was really to his benefit because obviously San Francisco's pass rush is brutal. He got out of the pocket. He made some good throws. He spread the ball around. I know Adams had a good game, but he still had a good distribution of the football.
Still had 2 interceptions and a fumble also.
Yeah. Well, and in the end, obviously, he showed his lack of game time, which hurts. But I mean, you got to feel good about going to overtime with the 49ers.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't make me feel good because it means that the season was a waste because they should be in the playoffs. And now we're looking at Tom Brady next year.
Oh man, the Tom Brady saga continues.
Or Aaron Rodgers, or we're gonna.
Oh, that'd
I
be
think it's going
great.
to be 46-year-old Tom Brady.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know.
Now here's what's going to happen. The Raiders are going to trade up for the Bears pick. And the Raiders are going to take a quarterback, either Young or Stroud.
Yeah.
And then you're going to lose like a bunch of picks.
Yeah, that's the problem is that'd be like 3 first-rounders, I think.
That's what I'm saying. That you're going to lose a bunch of
course,
picks.
And of
Now,
course,
the only way that would work, like I told you, Steve, last week, was if they get a first-rounder for Carr, a late first round, then they could give those 2 firsts plus another first, so it won't kill them completely. Because remember, they didn't have their first this last year either.
Right.
So
what do you think they should do, Wes? What's the Raiders' next move?
move back to Oakland. I mean, God.
I love the Oakland Raiders, to be honest with you. Hate the Vegas Raiders. Love the Oakland Raiders.
I'm getting used to it. It's all right, I guess. It could have been worse. They could have moved to San Antonio. That's stupid to remember. But it would be nice if you can get CJ Stroud, but I just think you're giving up way too much, and they need a lot still. Yeah. I mean, they're making progress in some areas, but you're giving up way too much just to get a quarterback of that type of ability. I love Stroud. I love the way he played in the semifinal game. But I think
Go ahead.
I think there's a lot of good quarterbacks, and I just don't like the whole idea that you're going to mortgage your whole future on one
Right.
guy. That honestly, it's a crapshoot nowadays. There's no guarantee. I mean, look at Zach Wilson. I mean, they're even talking about, oh, we'll trade Zach Wilson the Raiders, and do a swap there. It's like how many picks are you going to give us? I mean, okay, how many picks are you going to give us?
You
But
you got to give us picks to take Zach Wilson.
Well, yeah,
like,
because it's funny. I've read something like New York Jets websites and stuff, and they're like, oh, well, we could probably trade Zach Wilson and get and a first round pick and get Derek Carr and Devontae Adams for them.
Yeah, right. Get out of
And
here.
I'm like, and they're like, yeah, well, Carr's garbage. I'm like, you got Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
Carr has 35,000 passing yards, and he's never played on a team with a good defense. Now, I understand. I'm fine with them moving on from Carr because it's really, they need the money for the defense. They haven't improved the defense in like 20 years.
Right. And they've had a terrible defense for 20 years, right?
Yeah. And it's now all I want is a decent defense. Top 15. Is that so
That's
much
too much
ask?
to ask. So the question I was going to ask, so Wes, you're talking about Stroud, and I asked you guys this before. I mean, Stroud to me looks like the number one overall pick, right? So I think he goes to Houston at the number one overall pick.
yeah, I mean, he played so well that I think Houston before was thinking maybe Will Anderson or,
Ugh. Now with Davis Mills, he's like
Yeah.
horrible.
I mean, but yeah, see, I think Houston might get Stroud unless someone gives up, like I said, mortgages their future, in which
Right.
I don't think anybody's really going to go that far, because that's going to be a lot of picks. And that's just,
Well, so here's my question. So here's why I'm asking this question. So I don't think Houston gives up Stroud for less than, the lottery.
Yeah.
But I do think that Chicago gives up Bryce Young, obviously, for not a ton, maybe some defensive players, maybe some picks. Can the Raiders or can another team move up into that second position? And is Bryce Young worth that?
I don't know. I like Bryce Young in the same way I like Tua this year, just because he's real. I mean, he's good. It's great ball placement. He's just not big enough. Like, I mean, I can understand. I can understand if he's a 10th pick in the draft. You're talking about second pick in the draft here, and I wouldn't pull the trigger on that. I mean,
I think you're thinking it's the 80s still, and quarterback height really means anything.
no, I'm talking about size. I'm talking about size, not height. I'm talking about frame.
Yeah.
He to me, he's tall enough to a certain extent, but we're talking frame. He needs to put on weight.
I mean, he could get hurt easily. He could be a Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
Situation.
I mean, he's 6 foot 200 pounds.
Yeah.
No, I heard 190.
But I mean, he does look.
He can put on 10 pounds once he gets to the NFL. I mean,
I agree though. He does look. He does look small frame wise. You look at, I mean, some of these guys, especially. I mean, even Stroud is not huge, but he looks bigger.
See, I'm on the opposite end here from Wes. I like Bryce Young better than Stroud, and it's because.
Would you take him number one?
Yeah.
So if you're Houston, you take Bryce Young?
Yeah, because if you look, CJ Stroud, yeah, he's great. He played great game, but Bryce Young's a winner. He wins games. Look what he did to Kansas State. Look what he did last year. I mean, he's a winner. And if you put them both next to each other, they are both really good. but Bryce Young has the intangibles of like, you watch some of those games, he works the field. I think he has a better understanding of. Stroud is the more talented,
Right. How about
but
their arm? Like, how do you compare their arm strength,
I think
their ability to throw the ball?
I think Stroud has a better arm, but Bryce Young doesn't have a bad arm. He's not
Yeah.
like, I think he's more mentally prepared though. And that's a lot of it. If you think about most of the busts you see in the NFL, and I'm not saying Stroud is like a Zach Wilson or like a
Could
Ryan
be. Like, we
Leaf.
don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but I think Bryce Young just has more. And Alabama usually has a more pro style, complicated offense too.
Right. So he's more prepared to start early anyway. Where Stroud maybe have a better upside
Right.
long term, but Bryce Young probably is a better impact player like right now. Like I can see that.
And I'll tell you this, I don't want Levis or Richardson.
So here's the problem I have with Levis. Levis, I don't know if you've seen some of his workouts, but he has an arm like Josh Allen.
Yeah.
The problem is like I don't think he's athletically as good as Josh Allen. Obviously, I don't think he's as big and can run the ball like a fullback like Josh Allen can. But if you see Levis, he whips the ball.
Yeah, so did Zach Wilson.
I've never been a fan of Zach Wilson's arm, to be honest with you. There's a difference between Levis and Wilson. The only person I've seen throw the ball like Levis is Josh Allen.
He still scares me too much.
Right. But a lot of people were scared of Josh Allen coming in.
Yeah.
You know, the downfall I think for Levis is he doesn't have the other athletic ability that Josh Allen brings to the table. But their arm, to me, I've not seen an arm like Levis's. Watching some of these workouts he's done, this guy 40 yards on a line whips the ball into traffic, and it might be worth some people taking a chance on. If you can get him in like the late first round, maybe
he's going in
early,
the top 10 though.
Yeah, that's the issue. I'm not taking him top 10. But yeah, if I can grab him like 20, 25.
See, the one if Richardson falls to like 2025, that's the one you take. Because then you're on a team that's already kind of good. He can sit, but he might obliterate like what Justin Fields just did this year in rushing the ball.
That's going to be a hard one to beat.
Well, Fields is still not the leading rusher of all for season.
No, but man, he killed it. And they could have done a lot more if they did the whole season too. Like Vic was running from game one, day one, snap one.
Well, that's the thing. If you're talking arm talent and potential, it's Anthony Richardson. But it's also you need a team that actually can rein him in, or else he's a complete bust.
Right.
Because the dude's 6'4", and he's a tank, 230. But he's also one that could be like Malik Willis.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun draft. I think you're gonna see a lot of these like surprise picks and like who's gonna make it, who's not, and after the get a season down, you're like, oh, you messed up, or you picked great. I think it'll be a fun draft on that side.
Well, think about it. With the Fields draft, you had Trevor Lawrence, right? Who's now coming into his own as probably the top of that draft. Then you had, was it Fields second or Trey Lance second?
It was Wilson second.
Oh, Wilson, yeah. Oh, I'm trying to erase him because that was just dumb.
No, Wilson. They compared it to like a previous draft. Was it the Ryan Leaf Manning draft? Yeah, they're comparing it to Leaf Manning draft where you have a generational talent, which obviously Lawrence hasn't become the generational talent yet, but he has the potential. And then you had a bust in the second pick.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing was with the Manning Leaf, that one was still a debate.
Right.
People were still talking about maybe taking Leaf. No one was talking about taking Wilson over Trevor Lawrence, though.
I don't know. I wasn't talking about. I don't even. Wilson to me wasn't even on my board, so I don't know how he snuck in.
It's because of flashy arm talent, right? He pulled like a Jamarcus Russell, right? Didn't he like sit on one knee, and throw it 60
throw it
yards or
through
something?
the uprights.
Yeah. Well, then you had Trey Lance, who's a bust. So you have two busts right there. You had Wilson and Trey Lance. And then you had Mac Jones, who everyone was like, oh, he's a safe pick. And he's going to be a bust too.
Yeah, I don't know. The jury's still out on Trey Lance. Obviously, he got injured. I mean, we haven't seen him yet, so we don't really know.
Yeah, he's a bust.
It's hard to come back from that, obviously, but he does have the athleticism. So, but yes, at this point, he is for sure.
What was the year that Josh Rosen came out? Remember that was supposed to be a big quarterback year too.
There was a ton. There's a ton of quarterbacks that year. Because didn't Josh Rosen go like 15th or something like that?
I thought he was top 10.
Yeah, I think it was 10.
Oh, yeah. No, was he 7?
I think he was 7.
Yeah, I think he was 7 actually. But yes, there was a bunch of quarterbacks that draft.
No.
And Josh Rosen was supposed to be
he was 10.
That was a wild draft.
Yeah, because you had Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, Mayfield goes 1 overall.
Sam Darnold went 3 overall.
Right.
That's the one. Josh Allen went 7th overall. Josh Rosen went 10th overall.
Yeah, Allen was 7th.
And Lamar Jackson went 32nd overall.
Yes, that was the big thing. And that was nuts because we watch a lot of college football. I know you guys do. I watch a lot of college football. I always thought Lamar Jackson was really good.
Yeah. I thought he was the top. I thought he should go in the top 3.
Yeah. I probably would have took him 1 overall, to be honest with you. Like I don't, because Louisville's not the biggest like college, but I saw a lot of their games, and watching him play, he was like Michael Vick, but with accuracy.
Yeah, he looked. See, it's funny when he got to the NFL, he became more of just a runner, but in college, he was a really good passer.
Great passer.
That draft, the top 10, 6 of the top 10 have been Pro Bowlers. 3 of them that haven't were Mayfield, Darnold, and Rosen. And the other was McGlinchey, the tackle.
Darnold's on his way back, though. Look at him.
Yeah. Jeez.
Darnold's on his way back. All right, let's jump into our week 18 picks. This is the big week. So I think Wes, you're probably like 5 games back. Derek's like 1 game back. So this week can change everything.
So Steve, if you win by 1 game, it's an asterisk because the Bills would have beat the Bengals.
Cincinnati was winning the game. I'll take the win. Let's see. Let's start with no Thursday night game. We got 2 games on Saturday. Kansas City at Las Vegas. Wes, why don't you start us out?
Of course, we got to start out with the Raiders.
Right.
So, I mean, it's hard for me to take the Raiders in this case. So I'm going to take the Chiefs just because. I mean, the Raiders had just
no benefit for them winning, right?
I mean,
well, it knocked the Chiefs out of the number 1 spot, so
they find new ways to lose, and they're very good at it. So I think Chiefs come out. They win by 10.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs by 10 also. I think it's silly for the Raiders to win this game. They're a top 10 pick right now. And that gives you some leverage when it comes to who you're going to draft, maybe get a top pick or maybe trade. It's just a silly place for the Raiders to win. I don't know why you'd want to. So I got to keep Chiefs by 10 as well.
Yeah, if everything goes the way the Raiders with losing, they would have the number 6 pick overall. So
Right.
that would be a lot easier to move up if they are 6 than if they were 9 or 10.
Right.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs. They have something to play for. They're trying to be the number 1 seed so they can play on a neutral field. I got the Chiefs, and I got the Chiefs by 7.
I mean, it's in LA, so yeah, it might be a closer game, but it's funny because outside of the first couple games of the season, the Raiders are finally healthy again.
Well, their defense is not their best. Well, they have Crosby, but they don't have Chandler Jones or
Right.
Denzel Perryman.
But having
Waller
and then Renfro with those couple, he only had like 3 catches, but they were good, inside catches, and Waller made a difference, and you could just see the difference in the type of team they actually are versus what they were all year. Uh, huge game. Tennessee at Jacksonville. Man, I didn't want to go first on this one. I don't know why I did that, but I'm going to take Tennessee. I think Derrick Henry rested last week on purpose. He was not injured. He knew the game didn't matter. He's like, I'm gonna go take a bunch of PEDs and have a heart attack. No, I'm just kidding. He's gonna go and he's ready to go. He's gonna run all over Jacksonville. I'm gonna take Tennessee by a touchdown.
And he lost me a fantasy football championship because it was a 1-week playoffs, and him not playing cost me. Plus, my Bengals and Buffalo players.
Yeah,
so I didn't know
right.
what's going on there.
Didn't get any points.
I am going Jacksonville.
Oh,
because Josh Dobbs is starting still. And it's in Jacksonville. The Titans are reeling. They've lost 7 straight? I think when push comes to sub, you look at quarterbacks, and Trevor Lawrence is better than Josh Dobbs. So I'm taking Jacksonville by 7.
What do you think, Wes?
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, I think's better than Dobbs. That's pretty much a given there. But I just think Jacksonville's playing really well right now. Etienne's running; he's doing really well. Said Trevor Lawrence is number 1 in the NFL throwing outside the numbers. He's had 11 touchdowns outside the numbers. Which is smart. I think more quarterbacks should do that because throwing to the middle of the field is very hazardous for these guys because a lot of guys they get nervous. And it's like the best way for a young quarterback to get in rhythm is to get some of those outs. And so I think Jacksonville wins by 10 here.
Yeah, this is a big game. I think this is in my opinion, a franchise game, meaning that for Jacksonville, it's the beginning of like what you want to be. And I think Tennessee, like if you lose this game, you're kind of passing the torch, And in my opinion, one of the best games of the week to watch. Like I'm looking forward to watching this game, and big swing game, big swing game. Don't let me down, Henry. And because I don't care if it's Josh Dobbs, dude. All you gotta do is hand the ball to Derrick Henry. I don't even care if there's 10 in the box. Just give him the ball. Give him the ball. So that's gonna be fun to watch. I can't wait for that game. Tampa at Atlanta. Derek. Tampa's in.
Yeah, I'm going with the Falcons here. I think the Bucks are resting tons of players, so
Yeah.
I got the Falcons winning by 3. I think Kyle Trask is going to start.
Nice. That's your Florida guy.
Yeah.
Remember when he was like going to be the replacement of Tom Brady, and he was the talk of the town?
You never know. He might pull a what was his name? Flynn from Green Bay.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah. Matt Flynn threw for
Matt Flynn.
500 yards.
Yeah, they got a huge
Yeah,
contract in Seattle.
and then never played. I love it. Matt Flynn. Okay, so Atlanta, Wes, what do you got?
I got Atlanta too. I think the Bucks already got their seed. They're the fourth seed, so yeah, they're gonna probably rest some players, and the Falcons win by default. Say they win
Right.
by 5.
I don't think either of these teams want to win the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like Atlanta, you win, you get a worse pick, and Tampa, you're playing like third string guys. But how can your third string guys beat Atlanta's first team guys? So I think you have to take Atlanta here, just because it's like when you basketball, right? Like the starters are always going to beat the bench. So even if you don't want to win, Tampa's or Atlanta's got to win this game.
Unless you're Arkansas, remember when they had the 10-man rotation? And they were
Right. Then it doesn't because they're all the same.
No.
Let's see. So Buffalo Patriots game. So this is a big game, right? How Buffalo's going to react. Patriots need to win and get in the playoffs. What do you got, Wes?
Oh, this is a tough one.
Yeah.
I, I'm gonna take the Bills. I think they're gonna come out. It's probably gonna be tough for them early, but I think they're gonna do enough to beat the Patriots just because Mac Jones is not the second coming of Tom Brady. Let's put it that way. I think everyone's established that. And I think Josh Allen is going to go out there, and if he's going to have to win it with his legs, late, he's going to do what's necessary to win that game. So I'm going to take Buffalo by 6.
Yeah. New England, to me, I hate them because you don't know what they've been doing all year. It's like they looked like they were going to suck, and then they started winning, and now they're in playoff contention, and back and forth and back and forth. I believe Buffalo comes out, and I know it feels like it's hard to come out and play after that little bit of trauma, but I also think that it gives them this like let's win the game for Hamlin type of mentality, and I think they're gonna win at least by 10.
Yeah, this is an interesting one because if the Patriots win, they're in.
Right.
But I think Buffalo's just had years and years of hating the Patriots and they want that 1 seed. But let's see. So
And they demolished them last year in the playoffs.
yeah. And so I'm gonna take the Bills by 10 because I think everyone talks about Belichick's not that good of a coach. No, he's a great coach because this team should not be having a chance to make the playoffs.
I like Tom Brady, and I think he's a good quarterback, but he could not done what he has done without Belichick, 100%.
Yeah.
So there's no for me. There's no questioning Belichick's ability as a coach for sure.
And there's one thing I was reading here. So the Jaguars could lose to the Titans
And still make it.
Yes,
I saw that
with
New England
Dolphins,
loses,
Patriots, and Steelers
Patriots and
losses.
Steelers loses, right? So if all 3 other teams lose, Tennessee and Jacksonville can get in, which should be awesome.
Right.
Let's see, what do you got? Minnesota, Chicago. Let's see, it's me. Yeah, Nathan Peterman starting. Yeah, that's good for you. But I wouldn't play Fields either. Like he's done enough. Like let him sit out. Like the dude's been beaten up all year. Take your L. Take your second overall pick. Minnesota blows them out, at least by 14.
Well, the Vikings are probably going to be resting their players too. So, but it's Nathan Peterman. So I'll take the Vikings
You
by 10.
already have Justin Fields is already your whole offense.
Yeah.
Peterman runs for 150.
Then you'll be like, oh man, maybe it's not Fields.
Wes, what do you got?
Yeah, it's a no-brainer here. It's Vikings. Yeah, Nathan Peterman is I didn't know he's still in the league. So and the Vikings need to get back on track after last week's debacle. It's good, get some momentum going in the playoffs. I think they win by 13.
Yeah, we're all in agreement there. Baltimore at Cincinnati, Derek.
Going Bengals. Lamar Jackson's still not back, so there's no reason taking the Ravens here. So I got the Bengals by 10.
Yeah, how you feel, Wes?
Yeah, I mean, Bengals should win this pretty easy. I say, 14.
Wes, you gotta get some swing games in here, dude.
That's the wrong swing game. I mean, the Ravens and the Bengals is like the wrong one. I know what you're saying. It's coming.
Okay, because
I need like 5.
Obviously, I have Cincinnati as well, and so Cincinnati actually to me looks good. I do believe they would have won that Buffalo game. They looked very sharp. They have looked sharp for the last few games. Their offense is looking like the Super Bowl run that they had. So good to see them back where they're on a roll here. And then the battle, it's like this is like the biggest loser. I think that's what they call this one. Houston at Indianapolis. Wes, did you flip a coin here?
Jeez. Well, I mean, talk about a swing game. I mean, I don't even know which way. How I mean, I'm going to take the Colts just because they're playing at home. And honestly, I don't even know what they're doing. They're playing at home, and Texans, secure that number 1 pick. So Colts.
Right. Yeah, you're right. I think at this point, like a good college team could go out and win this game. But it's hard for me to believe that Houston would give up their number 1 pick on this game.
Yeah.
Loving Smith to be fired.
That's the issue I have here. So I had to take Indianapolis, even though I think Houston's a better team at this point in the season. It'd be stupid for you to win this game. So I'm taking Indianapolis.
Though, if the Texans win, Steve, Bears get number 1 pick.
I mean, I love it, but that's what I'm saying. I think it's just dumb. But go ahead, Houston, win it.
This is a tough one because both teams' bell cows are out, right?
Right.
Taylor and Pierce are both out. Jeff Saturday's the coach of the Colts.
Maybe he wants to win for his moxie.
I don't know. It's hard because I feel like if we didn't put records into this about who's going to get the number 1 pick, I'd say the Texans because
right.
I think
they're the better team.
Better team, better coach.
Yeah.
Is Nick Foles starting again?
I think so.
Yeah. And he's only good on the Eagles. But I still got to take the Colts because I just don't feel like the Texans are going to try that. I mean, the players will try, but someone better be like, no, we're going to sit some people.
Right. Or they'll call some really weird plays on third down. And fake
Go for
punt
it
in
on
their own
fourth down in your
territory.
own 5.
They're like, oh, we're on our 35. Fake punt, guys. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. So we're all in agreement there. Miami or Jets at Miami. I don't I don't even know what has happened to Miami. It's kind of crazy, like where they're at right now. This was a playoff team, like contending for the division. And to see where Miami's right now, I think it's a really disappointment for me because I really believe Mike McDaniel's a good coach. And for Miami to be where they're at right now, it's super disappointing. I think they win this game because the Jets are just not good. So I'm taking Miami, but just, cards on the table. Mike McDaniel, dude, like you let me down. That's all I got to say.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. I mean, Tua, who would have thought Tua was the linchpin of that team?
Right? He was the or the king in the
When
chessboard.
he's there, they're almost undefeated, right?
Yeah.
So, but like the Jets, though, is it Zach Wilson starting again? Because it's just bad.
I think they're starting the head cheerleader.
Or Mike White's back, isn't he?
Yeah, White's back. He's starting.
That's a tough one, but I'm going Dolphins just because.
If they win, they have a chance.
Yeah, because they have. If the Patriots lose and they win, they're in.
Right. And the Steelers have to lose too, though, right?
No, just the Patriots.
I thought the Patriots or Steelers beat Miami. Didn't they have like a crazy game? No, that was the Jets. Never mind. I'm thinking the Jets game.
Yeah, I looked it up.
So it comes down to a conference schedule. Who has a better conference schedule, Pittsburgh or Miami?
Yeah. So when I looked, it said the Bengals have the Patriots, if they win, they're in.
Right.
And then if they lose, let's look here for sure.
No, Pittsburgh only has a 4-7 conference. So unless they beat the Dolphins, let's see, did they beat the Dolphins? I mean, like if they lost the Dolphins. So if the Miami wins and New England loses, Miami's in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Miami has to win this game. You can't lose
Right.
the Jets. Yeah.
And then let's see, are they playing at the same time? I think so, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dolphins have to win this game.
Yeah. So I have the Dolphins by 3. It's in Miami too.
Yeah, they like the warm weather. Wes, what do you got?
Yeah, it's I got to take the Dolphins here. I know it's Skylar Thompson. I forgot where he came from, but if you got someone like that out there, at least he has 2 guys that are Tyreek Hill and Waddle. So I just think because of that right there, I think they'll barely win, though. Say 3 points.
Skylar Thompson comes from the great Kansas State University.
And he needs to throw the ball to Waddle. Like Waddle's had some decent games, but dude, throw the guy the ball a little bit. Jesus. I would rather I know Hill's had the better season, but Waddle's fast and he runs really good routes and he's just a good receiver.
Yeah. Hill is
he's the flashy.
Yes.
Yeah. He's that Vegas buffet, and then you pay $75 for it, and you're like, man, that wasn't as good as I thought it'd be.
I don't know. Yeah. That's scary now that the buffets are that much.
Stupid. Let's see. Carolina at New Orleans. Who's up on this one? Derek.
This was a tough one because no team really. I mean,
They shouldn't even play the game.
well, the Saints. I'm going with the Saints because they don't have the first round pick,
Right.
so they don't care. They're going to try and go out and win. It's a home game. The Panthers are dejected now because they blew a lead against the Buccaneers. So
Their season's over.
yeah,
But Darnold has something to prove.
yeah. So does the Red Rocket, man.
The Red Rocket. I like the Red Rifle better. You should call him the Red Rifle.
I know that's what I like better. But yeah, I'm
it's like
taking
he's in the Revolutionary War.
Yeah, I just think of Christmas Story. Yeah, I'm taking the Saints here just because they got Kamara back. They're a better team. They just didn't play like it this year. So
Right.
taking the Saints by 3.
Wes, what do you got?
I'm going with my team, the Saints. I'm on a roll with them. It's like, yeah, they're playing Carolina, and Carolina flopped big time. I actually thought Carolina might do something. They played well against the Tampa for a bit, but then of course
Then Tom took over.
because it's freaking Tom Brady. I mean, So I'm taking the Saints by 5.
Yeah, I think this is just a worthless game for both teams. It's at home. I mean,
Yeah.
you got to take the home team.
Yeah.
So I got New Orleans also by 5. Let's see. Wes. Cleveland at Pittsburgh.
I'm gonna go with Cleveland. I think they're gonna surprise Pittsburgh.
Ooh.
I think Pickett's not gonna have his best day. Everyone's starting to say how great he is. But I think Cleveland comes in, they play good defense, they win the game. And they win by a single point.
A single point.
1 point.
I think Cleveland has something to prove in this game. And these two teams do not like each other, and both of them want to win. There's no difference I mean, it's not going to change their draft picks a bunch, but Pittsburgh has a chance at the playoffs. And that's where I think they have a little bit more motivation. So I'm going to take Pittsburgh by 3 points. And just because they have something to play for. Where at Cleveland, what they have to play for is to beat Pittsburgh, who they hate. So Cleveland could win this game, which I think is the issue. But I still think Pittsburgh, it's a must-win situation here.
Texans are rooting for Pittsburgh because they have the draft pick, so they want Cleveland to be worse. I'm surprised. I thought you were going to take the Browns, but I'm taking the Steelers too because they do. It's a 10 o'clock game, so they're all playing at the same time.
You got to win.
They got to win, and it's at home. Franco Harris is, and it's just going to be like this to happen 2 years in a row, right? For Pittsburgh,
right?
Where they're going to make the playoffs when they shouldn't have,
and then barely get in and lose in the first round.
Because to think about it, I mean, it's not Skylar Thompson starting for the Dolphins.
Right.
There's a way for the Jets to win that game.
Yeah.
Bills can beat the Patriots pretty easily. Steelers could make the playoffs again.
Right. Well, that's what I'm thinking that Pittsburgh's looking at. It's like Patriots playing the Bills. Like they don't think the Patriots are winning that game.
Right.
And then again, no Tua, Miami,
we're set.
Who's been on a spiral, like you don't even know. So I agree with that.
And you know what else they got to play for? Mike Tomlin needs a win because he's never had a losing record.
That's right. He's got to keep Mike Tomlin on his winning record. Tomlin's got to go down as one of the best coaches ever. Like I don't know how you can argue with that. And he looks like what's his name? Mike Epps is that his name?
Yeah.
I swear they're twins. It's hilarious. Let's see. Chargers at Denver. I got the Chargers here. I know they're going to sit people, but I just can't pick Denver. Denver has not been good for me all season, so I'm going to go with the Chargers by a touchdown.
We got a swing game.
Oh yes, here we go. Let's
I'm
go.
picking the most hated Broncos because they fired their coach. Now Russell Wilson's gonna, let's ride.
Broncos country.
Broncos country. The Chargers are. Herbert's probably not going to play. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams probably won't play. Eckler probably won't play.
And they're still better than the Broncos.
Denver's still got a really good defense, and it's a mile high. So you got the Chargers coming into cold weather. So yeah, I got the Broncos winning by 3, and it's not Mike Epps, it's Omar Epps.
Oh, Omar Epps, yeah. Omar Epps. Was Mike Epps, is that at the
Mike Epps was like next Friday?
Yeah, next Friday. That's Mike Epps. That's what I was thinking. But I meant Omar Epps. What do you got, Wes?
I'm taking the Broncos.
Oh, let's ride.
Let's ride. Let's do it, Russell. Let's finish off the year on a high note, since everything's pretty much been a low note the whole year. So I think they're going to win this by the smallest margin as possible. If I could pick half a point they win by, so I'll just take 2 points.
2-0.
2-0 on a safety.
2-0.
Let's see what do we got next game. Derek. Giants at Philly. You got Derek.
I got Philly. Giants have nothing to play for.
Yeah.
The Eagles are playing for home field advantage. Jalen Hurts is back. It's in Philly. They're favored by 14. So obviously the odds makers are thinking the Giants aren't playing a bunch of people.
Right.
Yeah, I got the Eagles by 10. They're going to try to make a statement to get back, show everyone that they're the number one team in the NFC.
Right. You agree with that, Wes?
Yeah, I mean, the Giants are in the playoffs. Eagles should win fairly easily. Giants will probably be sitting a lot of players. I say 14.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you want to rest Saquon, he's been dinged up a little bit, so you want to play him as little as possible, which is 50% of your offense. And Philly's got something to prove, so yeah, Philly by 10 there, or 12. Sorry, I'm by 12.
I just, how many yards more rushing does Daniel Jones need to catch Justin Fields?
I mean, he's got a ways to go, but he's been good. Like he's like I said, he's sneaky up the middle is what Daniel Jones is. He gets up inside the lane, the blocking lanes, where Justin Fields, a lot of his are designed runs. Like he's got a pulling guard, out in front of him. Daniel Jones, he's just runs right up the middle.
He needs just 300 yards more rushing.
That's it. That's it. I mean, yeah, easy. Like no problem. Let's see, Arizona at San Francisco, Wes.
Oh God, I'm picking the Cardinals.
he's officially come.
I don't have a choice.
There's only so many games left that could be swing games.
There we go. Get the Cardinals. Let's go, Cardinals. They're gonna beat the 49ers. Yeah. Let's see here.
Because I got the 49ers by 20.
I got the Cardinals. Yeah, by 3.
Oh man. I mean, San Francisco has to win just to stay in the race, obviously. And they're just a way better team. So San Francisco by 20.
Yeah. David Blau starting. DeAndre Hopkins isn't playing. So yeah. I got the 49ers by 20.
I don't think anybody can tell who's desperate here.
Wes is driving down to Arizona. Like, hey guys, let me on the field.
Cliff Kingsbury, you're playing for your job.
Oh man, and
watch,
Arizona's probably going to win this game. It's going to be super sickening. Let's see. Rams at Seattle. Obviously, must win for Seattle. So at home, I have a hard time believing the Rams can beat Seattle at home. So I'm going to take 49ers by a touchdown. Or 49ers, Seahawks by a touchdown.
Yeah, I'm rooting for the Rams because if they win, I think the Raiders can get to like the 5th pick.
You might get an extra pick out of there.
But yeah, Seahawks are going to win by 7. They're home. They got everyone back. Lockett's back, so
yeah, and they got to win.
And they need to win to try to. That puts the pressure on the Packers,
right? To hope for the position.
Yeah.
And Wes, you taking the Rams?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take the Rams because it's swing game, and I need that game, a couple more swing games to catch you guys.
You had so many other chances that I feel like were better chances. And you wait until the end to take like the fucking against the 49ers and say, all right, the Rams again. Wes has got the Rams. Oh, this is going to be brutal. Dallas at Washington. Derek.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I got the Cowboys here because they still have a chance to win the division.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm taking the Cowboys by 7. The Commanders are a dumpster fire. Their coach didn't even realize they got eliminated from the playoffs.
That was kind of funny.
And you started Carson Wentz.
You started Carson Wentz.
So stupid.
They're going with Sam Howell starting this week.
Yeah.
So good luck against Micah Parsons.
Right.
Yeah. I don't even. I mean, question is Carson Wentz going to be in the league next year? I mean, he starts. He finally starts. He throws 3 interceptions. Like,
dude's getting paid like what, $10 million a year?
2 years in a row, he's had chances to make the playoffs, and he's just lost games.
Yeah. I mean, I got to go with Washington here because I need 2 more games.
Oh, it's
go Sam Howell. Let's go.
Let's go. Oh, that's great. No, just rely on Joey Slide. He's gonna kick like 17 field goals.
He's gonna kick like 9 field goals. Fantasy, there we go.
Oh man. I mean, obviously I'm taking Dallas here. By 11. That's just what I had. So final game. Top 2, maybe best game of the week. Detroit at Green Bay. Wes, what do you got?
I got Detroit. Because I do think Detroit's going to win. Not just I need it, but I do need it. But I still believe in Detroit, even though Green Bay is playing really well right now. I guess from their standards. But I'm just going to take the Lions by 4.
Yeah, if this was in Detroit, I might have picked the Lions here, but it's in Green Bay. And so I think that gives Green Bay the advantage because I think their teams are even. I think either of these teams could win this game. So I took Green Bay because they're at home by a touchdown.
I just want to point out one thing that Wes took the Broncos and the Commanders in the same week.
In the same week.
Throw in the Rams and the Cardinals. I mean,
that's great.
But you said you'd never take the Broncos or Commanders again.
Well, I really don't have a choice here. I have no chance of winning now.
No, I mean, you're hedging your bets, dude. That's the best way you can do it. I get it.
And then it'll be good because I'm taking the Packers also. So another swing game for US. It's experience. The Packers have it. They know how to win, and it's in Green Bay. It's not a dome. Detroit's just not there yet. They're playing well. It's not their year. I think next year they'll be a playoff team, but Rodgers has started to hit his stride. It'll be kind of crazy because then it's like you never know. Packers in the playoffs, you don't know.
Jeez.
It's like
you do know. They'll get the championship and they'll lose.
Yeah.
They'll play San Francisco and they'll own them in a playoff game like they have for the last 5 whatever games. But big swing game for West. So yep. West knocks out 4 swing games in a row. No, 5 swing games in a row. Wait,
I'm gonna do a money line. I'm gonna do a money line parlay on those games.
You
win
should
like $5,000.
No, you bet $1, you win like $1 million if you parlay the last 6 games that you just chose.
Yeah,
that's a good 16 parlay right there.
Yeah.
So yeah, good week this week. Can't wait to finish out the season. Swing games that we need to watch. So Tennessee, Jacksonville, that's going to be a big one. Let's see. What else did you pick, Derek? You picked
I don't think we had that many. You took the Chargers, right?
Yeah. So Chargers, Denver, that's the other one. So Chargers, Denver, and Tennessee, Jacksonville. Those are the 2 games. So two swing games here are going to make all the difference.
Unless Wes wins all his swing games.
And then beats us both. That's going to be amazing.
It was all planned. If it happens, it was all planned.
That's the way he worked it out. Oh, goodness sakes. All right, good stuff. Can't wait for the finish season. Kind of final thoughts on the season here. One of my most favorite NFL seasons in a long time. I kind of feel like there's no clear winner. There's no dominant teams. There's definitely teams that are leading their pack and that you want to root for. But to be honest with you, I don't want to bet against Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay or Tom Brady in Tampa Bay. Like, I don't want to play against Baltimore getting back, into the playoffs. Like, there's just teams out there that you don't want to play against. But all the year round, I thought it was interesting because you remember how like the AFC East was like, oh my gosh, you got the Patriots and the Jets and Miami, all 4 teams. All 4 teams are going to the playoffs, and you're like, oh, all 4 teams suck. So it's been a fun season to watch. So that's kind of my final thoughts of the season this year. Been fun to watch.
Well, since my Raiders suck this year, I'm going to go with the horribleness of the season. You could have 2 4 seeds, 2 4 seeds with losing records in the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, but you know what? We all thought the Raiders were going to be good. We all thought the Raiders would make the playoffs, and they didn't. I mean,
well, the thing with with you having 2 4 seeds could have losing records being in. Now they're talking about expanding the playoffs to 8 teams in each conference. And then no buys.
No. I think they should go back to 6, to be honest, my opinion. But
right. Not less money, though. That's why they're
right. They need the extra game.
I think as far as the playoffs, this is probably one of the most intriguing playoffs we're ever going to watch.
Right.
Because look at what you got here. You got Tom Brady. He's still in it, right? Aaron Rodgers, if he makes the playoffs, even if let's say the Lions make the playoffs, they're still one of the only teams never to even go to a Super Bowl. Let's say the Jets make the playoffs. They have the longest drought. They have the longest. No, they're not.
No, Jets are out.
Oh,
you got Miami,
Dolphins,
Patriots, and Steelers. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Or the Jaguars if they.
the Dolphins, I mean, it's been a while since they've been to the Super Bowl.
Right.
And then you have the Bills, which I think a lot of people are going to be rooting for. And the Bills lost 4 Super Bowls, never won a Super Bowl. You got the Vikings, lost 4 Super Bowls, never won a Super Bowl. And then you have the Cowboys. And the
Well, we have
Cowboys,
the Bengals have lost 3 Super Bowls and never won a Super Bowl.
yeah, I was going to get to that. Yeah, they're getting right there too. So there's just so many different stories here that are going to unfold. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. And I don't even want to begin to predict what's going to happen.
I mean, some of these teams, you feel like they're going to be really hungry with what you're talking about, right? Especially when you're talking about Bengals and Vikings. Like both those teams, you really feel like Bills, like you really feel like they want to win the Super Bowl. But then you have teams like Kansas City, who just looks way better than I think anybody thought they would look this year. And then you got San Francisco. Are you kidding me? You're going to add CMC to San Francisco? Like, what in the hell? What's happening right now?
And
I
they'll
don't.
get Debo back.
You got Debo coming back. You got a healthy defense, best defense in the league. And hey, Carolina, why don't you just give Christian McCaffrey to San Francisco? Like, blows
And
my
Brock
mind.
Purdy's looking pretty good too.
Well, and then Philly, obviously, like killing it this year. Great offense, looking great. Dallas defense looks solid. Uh, Never know with the Chargers if they, as long as they don't listen to their coach, they could play well. So I agree, Wes. I think this is going to be one of the most fun playoffs that you'll see in a long time.
Well, just from the AFC perspective, after West here, let's either the Titans or the Jags make it. Never won a Super Bowl. Buffalo's never won a Super Bowl. Cincinnati's never won a Super Bowl. Chargers never won a Super Bowl. You have all those teams in the AFC. You could have only 2 teams in the AFC that have won a Super Bowl.
And it'll come down to San Francisco, KC.
Yeah.
Oh man, what a good season though. So, win or lose, I can't wait to see how this wraps up. We got a couple swing games, which is going to decide the final standings. And Wes has got a bunch of swing games, which could get the final standings.
Well, the way the season's going, we should all put our money on Wes.
Right. I'm thinking that 16 parlay, throw $100 on it, pays out like 500,000.
Yeah.
Worth it. It's worth it.
That's a good shot.
Good stuff. All right, guys. Thanks for joining. Everybody, thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Appreciate everybody listening on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor. We'll see you next time.